Hey, what's up, man? Hello. Just bought this instead of eating dinner. I gotta save money. I gotta get a Switch 2 case tomorrow. Hello. Well, light side, you have to consider my Steam Deck is broken. I have a whole button that doesn't work. And you'd be surprised how many games that prevent you from playing, even like SNES games. Most of the stuff I want to play, I cannot play right now because the button is broken. And Valve wants like $200 to fix it. So my options are either play stuff like this that doesn't use that button, play on a table, which I often don't have access to when I'm working over here, maybe like 1 or 2 times a week. Or try to get somebody in town to fix it, but that has not been going very well. So, games like this are useful when I have broken hardware. Yeah. I can't even play, like, SNES games right now, barely. I have very small selection games I can play. So, and this was $8. Yeah, my R1 button is broken, so like, that means I can't play PGR. Even like the Absalom demo, I could barely play that because of the pickup button. Pretty much any PS2 game I can't play. It's greatly limited what I can play, and I don't really have anybody that can fix it. It's just not a priority right now. Pretty much none of the games I'm playing next month besides Absalom, I'm going to be playing on Steam Deck anyway, so it's not a priority at the moment. You know, this month was getting the new phone. Next month is going to be buying all the games and stuff. So, I'll get around to fixing it eventually. I'm going to have to ask on, like, the Nextdoor app or something, but, yeah. Just imagine being a child and having a broken controller. That's pretty much what it is. The difference is I can't replace the controller because replacing the controller requires replacing the whole device. And that's the situation I'm in right now. So anything that requires the R1 button is basically unplayable, which unfortunately means PGR. The only time I have access to a table here is when my neighbor is not here, and he's only not here like 2 days a week that I work here. So, yeah. There's your answer. What's nice about the Switch is if the controller buttons give out, you know, you're not completely SOL. You don't have to factory reset the whole thing and take it back. That's the problem with these portable computers. They are susceptible to wear and tear like any controller, but you know, the buttons are a permanent fixture, so if it breaks, you either have to fix it yourself, or take it to Valve, and Valve wanted to give me a, I forget how much they wanted me to pay, but it was like almost $200. So, yeah, I don't have the money for that. And I definitely won't next month. Next month is buying like 5 different games. November is vacation. December is more likely that I can get it fixed. The problem with getting it fixed is also that there's a chance that they might wipe everything off it, and that's what makes me really not want to do it, because this thing is pimped out with like so many games. I don't want to do that. But it might be the reality. Can you plug in a controller? Yes. You can plug in a controller. You have to remember, when I work over here, I sit on a recliner with cats on my lap, so plugging in a controller is not really an option. I do have one. Not exactly an option at the moment. As much as people bitch about Joy-Cons, I get that they're expensive, but it's a blessing in disguise that you can replace them. You can replace them and like the console itself is fine. Supposedly the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, I mean I've only played on it for like a couple hours, are supposed to have less drift. I personally don't mind paying the exorbitant price for Joy-Cons if it prevents this from happening, where my whole device is handicapped and it greatly limits what I can play. You know, I was playing like Basara and stuff, and I was really having fun doing that. But the R1 button is very important in that game, so I can't. Backing it up is not the problem. It's reinstalling everything is the problem. All the mods, all the games like PGR and stuff, I really don't want to do it. If some rich person came in here and donated like $200 for me to fix it, I'm still not sure if I would even do it. Because, I just don't want to spend like a week, multiple hours setting everything up again. Especially all the non-Steam games, all the saves and shit. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'll put some effort into trying to find somebody who can fix it in town, but that might be easier said than done. I don't know if it will happen. Big maybe. If I did it in town, it probably would be cheap enough that even my broke ass could afford it, but the money is only part of the issue. I know that you guys would donate for it because I do Steam Deck content regularly, but the money is only part of the problem. It's not something that's easily solved with money. No. Donations towards it would help, but it's not entirely something I want to do. So until then, kinds of games I can play on here are limited. Backing everything up is a partial fix. It's a band-aid fix. It doesn't really fix the problem. We're talking multiple hours, like endless hours reinstalling everything. I just don't want to do that right now. Well, usually when you send, you know, game consoles back to the company to RMA it, they just give you a new one. They don't give you the old one back. And there's a chance that that can happen. I'd rather not have people donate and then, I find out all my shit got wiped. And it's gonna take, like, multiple hours to put everything back on it. I'm not the kind of person that likes to take donations for just anything. You know, the Switch 2, for instance, there was a chance that I could have gotten banned because mine had custom firmware, but I didn't mess with my sysstand, so the chance was low, but not zero. And I would have felt extremely bad if people had donated even some money towards getting that, and then it got banned, you know, and then I have nothing to show for the support. So, I only like taking donations for stuff that's set in stone, you know. If it does come to the point where I need to repair it, maybe I would do it, but I don't like just doing stuff like that for every little thing. I have too much of a conscience for that. Luckily, I didn't get banned. I went on and everything is fine, probably because my sysstand was cleared. I heard what gets you banned is if you have, like, pirated games on your sysstand, and I obviously didn't do any piracy. I bought everything. But yeah, that was why I was on the fence about getting a Switch 2. Because it would have required, it wasn't for my neighbor, it would have required support from you guys, and I just didn't feel right doing that. You know, if people want to donate towards, like, Ninja Gaiden 4 or something, you know, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Not so much things that aren't set in stone. Probably will have to make some effort to raise some funds for the games next month, but, you know, not set in stone, right? Computer's not going to explode or anything like that. It's kind of risky to take donations for stuff that's not like a, you know, a guaranteed thing. Yeah, they usually don't even repair shit that you send back. Most of the time, they just give you a new one. You just like look at it and say, we can't be asked to fix this. Here's a brand new one. But if you're a tinkerer like I am with this Steam Deck, that's not something that you want. You do not want that. I'd argue if I didn't do any tinkering on here, I didn't have like emulators and PGR and all the homebrew and stuff, like, I'd be more willing to do it, but not the way it is right now. What's up, Archie? Are you hungry, man? Yeah, we can get you some food. That's why, like, the Switch Lite was garbage, because it didn't have Joy-Cons. It was a permanent fixture. The buttons and the sticks and everything were a permanent fixture. So if it broke or started drifting, you had to bring the whole thing back. That's why I never wanted a Switch Lite. I'm like, I don't want that. It's not worth the risk. Yes, they charge an insane amount for the Joy-Cons, but if they break, it's not the end of the world. You can replace the one that was broken, and you're back, you know, you're back in action. On this thing, not so much. I should be doing some Switch 2 test streams tomorrow, depending on what my neighbor needs. She's gonna be busy. You guys can look forward to that. I installed all the games. I've done a bunch of testing already. I looked on the shop and there was like no games that I wanted, not even slightly. I was looking at East 10 Proud Nordics, but then I watched a video today saying it had like barely any contents, and it would have cost me like $70. So I said no to that. I would not take donations for that either. I don't know if I want to buy that game again. Got really screwed over by buying the original version of the game, and then they pulled an Atlas and made a whole new version. Pretty much no Switch 2 game I want until November. November is Age of Imprisonment. So I'm all set up for that now, but there isn't anything else I want on it. I thought about Metroid Prime 4, but I don't know. I haven't really liked a Prime game since 2. And I didn't even like 2 as much as 1. I don't know, that Prime 4 trailer looked really bad. With her on the bike. With her on the bike in, like, just this complete barren desert. It actually looked really bad. I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I'm really, on the fence about that game. We'll see. I think it comes out in, like, November, doesn't it? I won't have any, gaming budget in November anyway. After I pay for the vacation, I'm gonna have no money. I definitely need the vacation. More than I need a game I might not vibe with. You can plug a controller into it as long as it's Type-C. You need a Type-C controller and you can plug it in. So like the Steam Deck isn't completely bricked if you have a controller, but you know, you're gonna need some kind of surface to play it on. Depending on when and where you use it, that may not be very useful. Case in point, the job I'm working right now. Hooking up a controller is possible, but not really comfortable. That's right, PGR's reset is tonight, so I'll be doing that tonight after I snack up. we'll do some PGR and maybe some Lost Soul aside if that bug got fixed. Got like 2 weeks to Absalom, and then 2 more weeks after that is Ninja Gaiden and Revive. That's pretty exciting. I know Absalom will stream fine with my physically disabled Steam Deck, so that's nice at least. I don't know if Revive will even run well on Steam Deck. Big baby. Rushing Beat barely ran. I couldn't stream that game. Laggy. Anyone else think it's crazy how well this runs? And you have like Borderlands 4 on a 5090 and a 14th gen processor runs way worse in this game with way less going on. Anyone think that's pathetic? This game is made by like one guy. I am streaming it off a Steam Deck and it's not dropping a single frame. What is going on with games, man? It is just... Look at this. This game is like a Lock 60 with like 300 enemies on the screen. Borderlands 4 with like 3 enemies on the screen is struggling without frame gen. What the fuck is going on with games, man? I legit don't understand. I'm gonna have to leave a review for this. Why does this run better than AAA games? It's made by like one person. I didn't think that this would be such a good kitty-sitting stream game, but it actually is. It doesn't drop frames at all. It just goes to show that indie games are destroying AAA games. You get a fun game like this. It may not be super deep, but it's playable. Pay like they want $130 for Borderlands 4. They want so much money for that game. It's making games for nobody. That's what it is. The game barely runs on the best hardware right now. It barely runs on the best hardware. And they're gonna put that game on Switch too. Just think about that for a second. They're gonna put that fucking game on Switch too. I don't know what the hell they're thinking with that. Why is it on Switch too? It barely runs on a 5090 and a 14900K. I hope they're ready for the backlash. Doesn't seem like they care. Same thing with like Dynasty Warriors Origins. Like how well that game runs, despite having like 300 people on the screen at all times. That's like actually one of the best PC ports that you... What sense does that make? Can someone explain to me how that game ended up being like one of the best like major game PC ports this year? I don't understand how that's possible, but it is. You can get a locked 60 on that game, and then if you have better hardware, locked 120. And then even if you're a little bit below that, you could just use frame gen. That's like the actual use for frame gen. Frame gen's not supposed to be a crutch to make the game run at all. It's supposed to enhance the performance. It's not supposed to be, you have to turn it on or the game is unplayable, which is pretty much what Borderlands 4 is. Dynasty Warriors Origins has the proper utilization of frame gen, which is, you know, if you want to get some extra frames above 60, it's nice, and it doesn't really introduce that much latency. I think that's not fair. It's not fair for them to complain about it. Silksong is not the problem with why games are so devalued. The problem is AAA games have devalued video games for over a decade now. More like 15 years. Because that's when Steam started to get popular. So I don't know what they're on about. You can get Borderlands 2 for like $20. And then like if an indie game asks that same price for understandably less content because it's made by a small team with way less resources, people won't give it a chance. Whose problem, whose fault is that? they devalue their games so quick. You can get big games for really cheap, so it's hard for people to want to buy, you know, smaller games. That's not Silksong's fault. It's a problem that like Bethesda and like Bamco, they're the reason why games are so devalued. I don't get why suddenly it's a problem because Silksong is an affordable, functional game at launch that people have lower incomes like me, you know, you can actually get a good game for 20 bucks instead of 70, 80, 130. I don't know, man. They're shifting the blame in the wrong place. That's my take on it. A good example is that Raiden Nova game. That Raiden Nova game is a good game. It's not a bad game at all. But they wanted like 30 bucks for it. It has no graphics options. The Steam Cloud doesn't work. It looks like legit a Dreamcast game from like 25 years ago. And it didn't sell because of that price. Because if you want a roguelike, there's way cheaper games you can get with way more content. Like this game I'm currently playing is like a quarter of the price of that game. Who's gonna buy Raiden Nova? You're gonna see this for $8. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Feels like they just don't want to accept that their game is not that good. People don't want to buy it. There are lots of big games out there that are just as overpriced as indie games. It's nothing new. Like that Daemon X Machina game, the new one that just came out. I was interested in playing it, but it's like 70 bucks. And then they want like 30 more for the deluxe edition. And everybody has said, like, if this game was $30 to $40, they could recommend it. Well, yeah, I just don't have the money to spend 70 bucks on something I might not like. That's a huge risk. And yes, I am fortunate to have a community that would donate to see games like that, but then I don't want to do that because, you know, I might flush it. You know, if I buy games with my own money, I feel more like I can flush it. The price of games has grown out of control, and then like when a good game comes out that's affordable, everybody else starts complaining. It's like, well, why? Like, it's called competition. And for the longest time, the competition with indie games was precisely what I said. It was AAA games. AAA games was the big competition. Because it took a long time for indie games to be able to deliver the kind of content that those games could for an affordable price. But now indie games are like consistently the best bang for your buck, and they're often better games than the AAA games in the first place. I think it's a lot of salt, in my opinion. I think it's a lot of salt. Not wanting to admit that maybe their game is not all that, and that they should be blaming Silksong. Overrider is like 10 bucks, right? That's a good roguelike. It may not be for everybody, but it's a good game. And Vampire Survivors clones are always really funny because the ones that price themselves too high are the ones that fail. Raiden Nova, that game I play on these streams sometimes, is a perfect example of not understanding the market. You know, you can get Vampire Survivors and all the DLC, which is a ridiculous amount of content, for like 15 bucks. Raiden Nova is double that price. It has like 10% of the content. Nobody bought it. Unfortunately, you have to price your games properly or people just aren't going to buy it. Or they're going to wait for a sale. And when you put something up for a sale, yes, you can make more money than the base price, but it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of luck. I think it's also kind of, when people do that, they're kind of ignoring the fact that Creating anything on the internet, a lot of it is luck. More than anybody wants to admit. A lot of it is luck. Unfortunately, even something that's high effort like making a video game, a lot of it's luck. There are games that have blown up like crazy with like no marketing. You know, they don't have any money to do promotions or sponsorships or run ads on sites. And sometimes they just do really well. And then there's other games that market like crazy. You know, they market like crazy, and they get like big streamers to play, which costs like minimum 4 to 5 digits. And it doesn't fails. Just like making videos on here. I have that video of me doing that dodge offset in Bayonetta. It's got like 30k views. I didn't advertise that video. It took no effort to make. It took literally like 30 seconds to make. It's just dumb luck. It doesn't really deserve to have that many views. It's just something that kind of happened. I think that whole thing is stupid, if you ask me. Soapsong could have priced at $30 and those games could have still failed. Because, a lot of just making shit on the internet is just luck. You've been well past the point where you can make something good and put effort into it and have it be a guaranteed success. It hasn't been like that for a long time. I think people just didn't notice. But it's strange that you see so many games like this. This guy didn't have any money for marketing. He made some pretty good shorts. That's how I found out about this game. I got recommended a short. It was like $8. I'm like, I don't normally like these types of games, but at $8, shit, I spent like $10 on lunch today. You know, this game doesn't have to give me 800 hours of entertainment at that price. When the game is $80 and barely works, you know, things are going to be under way more scrutiny, right? That's Borderlands 4 in a nutshell. $70 for the base version, and then like the content is going to add a lot. Because I know with Borderlands games, kind of like Team Ninja games, where the DLC is like legit half the game. The $70 version is kind of worthless if you actually like the game. You're gonna have to cough up another like 30, 50 minimum. Just like people that buy, they see content creators make millions and they think that they can do it themselves, and they go spend like a couple grand on streaming equipment and then they don't make their money back. I'm like, yeah, a lot of it is luck. You're not gonna get a return of investment. If you do, you're very fortunate. People don't want to admit that making shit on the internet, regardless if it's low effort like what I'm doing, or high effort like making the whole game, it's just RNG, man. A lot of it is. There are garbage games, you know, garbage people and stuff that are popular on here and don't deserve it. People doing legit good or creating good things that don't get that recognition. It's just luck. Skill and effort is not a surefire way to succeed on the internet. That's why I've been putting less effort into my videos, because I put a lot of effort into the Origins content and none of it did well. I was slaving away at that shit, man. I was playing like 8 to 9 hours a day making those videos, and the algorithm just didn't promote them. I know that they're good videos, but the algorithm didn't think so. So I stopped putting a lot of effort into that game. It's just something that happens. I think it's just a hard pill for people to swallow. Make a good game and price it fairly. It may not do well, of no fault of your own. Relic Hunters Legends is a good example. That game I was playing last month. That game is awesome. It has like 100 concurrent players. It definitely does not deserve that. There's no way in hell that game deserves to have like 100 concurrent players, but you know, it's just luck. Nothing else to it. They also got sandwiched between a lot of bigger games, which is ironic because I think Relic Hunters Legends is a better game than Borderlands 4. This game is $8. I've only been playing it for like an hour, and it has more content than Ride Nova. That game was triple the price. Bless the people who made Ride Nova. I actually really like that game. I think it's underrated. But at the price point they're charging for it, compared to the competition, that game was never going to do well. Because they thought that they could charge $30 for it. The game does not have $30 of content. There are like $5 games like that have more. It also looks like a Dreamcast game. Like, you'd have to be crazy to buy that. It actually does have a lot more manual dexterity required, with like the dodge and the twin stick shooting. It's not just auto attack, but they did not at all look at the competition when they were making that game. Like, not even slightly. Otherwise, that game would have been like maybe $15 maximum. I don't know why game developers are shocked at, you know, having to compete with pricing is something you have to do with everything you sell. Why people go to Walmart. You're gonna go to Walmart over a mom and pop store because you can get shit for cheaper. Why would you not do it? That sucks, but that's just how things work. Lost Soul aside, you know, a game I've been playing is also a good example of being screwed over by the pricing. That game should not be $60. It's a good game, but just the way that it looks and everything, it gives people expectations that they would not have if it was like $20 cheaper. Sony definitely screwed that game over hard. Bless the development team for fixing, you know, all the problems and stuff, but I really feel like Sony is more of the culprit than them releasing the game in not the best state. I don't think most people are going to choose people that like character action games that don't have crazy amounts of entertainment budget. Are going to choose that over Ninja Gaiden when it's, you know, a month and a half away. Unfortunately, sometimes you got to undercut your stuff to make it sell. Pretty much what game consoles are, right? That's game console in a nutshell. They sell them at a loss because they know that there's an attach rate. The Vita was sold at a loss. Famously, that was a pretty big loss that they sold that at. But you know, they figured out that people that bought it. I'm a testament to this. They have a high attach rate, meaning that they buy a ton of games and accessories and shit. So they weren't making money on selling the device. It was the games. I think it was said that the Vita, people who bought the Vita had like some of the highest attach rate ever. You know, they were buying high-priced games like pretty much like every month. one or more. Alright, well that's gonna do it for now. I think Sir Archie here wants to eat, so I gotta feed him and then I gotta feed myself. I'll be back with PGR after I finish my snack. I got some nice movie theater popcorn and a Haterade I'm looking forward to. So I'm gonna cut it short. I'll be back shortly with PGR, maybe some more of this, but this is more of a kitty sitting stream game, and